Hey, how are you?
We're gonna go yet? We're not ready yet.
Just any moment,
Any
Commissioner.
moment? I'm just walking.
Okay. I'll call this meeting to order, the joint meeting of the Stuart City Commission, the Community Redevelopment Agency, and the Community Redevelopment Board for the 28th of July, 2025. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Community Redevelopment Agency, Chair Rich.
Here.
Vice Chair Collins.
Here.
Board Member Clark.
Here.
Board Member Giovi. Board Member Reed. Board Member Breckbill.
Here.
Board Member James. Community Redevelopment Board, Chair Breckbill.
Here.
Vice Chair Moser. Here. Board Member James. Board Member Laughlin.
Here.
Board Member Manera.
Here.
Board Member Scherer.
Here.
Board Member Whalen.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we will begin this afternoon with a presentation by the head of our CRA.
Thank you.
Sabit
Is
Gandhi.
this on? Pinalgani Savdas, CRA Director. CRA Director for the record. We have an update on the Guy Davis Community Park project. We have Dominic Mack here from CGA, Calvin Giordano and Associates, to give us an update on the project. Unfortunately, GOB Fioli, who has been the lead on the project from CGA, had family emergency, so Dominic will be giving us an update on the project and where we are on the design. As you might know, we've been working on this project since 2019. We've had many public meetings to get feedback from the community. The schematic design, which is a site plan, was presented to the City Commission in July 2024, and it was approved to move forward with the construction plans. So for the last year, we've been working on the construction plans. And then later last year, in around October, the City Commission approved to include the skate park into the design, and we've been coordinating with Spawn Ranch to design the skate park and incorporate that into the park. Currently, we're at 90% design for the park, and we're looking for your feedback on the current plans, discuss various components of the park, provide direction to staff if anything should be incorporated, anything should be modified before we take it to the 100% construction plans and go out for bid. And based on the project scope, there has been an increase in cost. So we are planning to increase the budget to about $10 million in the upcoming fiscal year 2026 budget. So you'll see that in the CRA budget in September. And this includes the $500,000 in state appropriation. And we've also created a separate line item for additional $700,000 for the skate park. So the total of $10.7 million for this project. At this time, Dominic will come up and give us a presentation and provide us with details of the project, background information, and the current status.
All right, let me test this out first. Is that not working? I may have to just
You could just manually.
say next, yeah. Sorry for the amount of times I'm about to say next. My name is Dominic. I'm a landscape architect with CGA. I appreciate taking the time to hear us give you this update. I know it's been a long time coming. We're excited with the status of where we're at. So really quickly, I just want to run through an agenda. Just briefly, who we are, just as a quick reminder, go through a little bit of the background of the project and the public engagement that's happened, talk about the East Stuart Public Art Master Plan that we had worked on, as well as the current status of the 90% plans. With that, on the next slide, this presentation is just one of 4 components that have been submitted. We have the presentation, our 90% CD package, as well as the 50% skate park plans, and as well as the 90% cost estimate. So who is CGA? We're a multidisciplinary firm peppered throughout Florida. We have an award-winning design team, over 80 years of experience, primarily serving municipalities, all across Florida. The range of our projects is, park planning, master planning, streetscapes, trail networks, and all that good stuff that really tailors to the community, making sure that placemaking is at the forefront of the design. So the background and public engagement portion. So from conception all the way back 2019 when the original RFQ came out, we did our site reconnaissance, made sure that we were aware of all the constraints and opportunities that were on the site, and then again revisited that in 2020 when it came back out for the second RFP, just to make sure that nothing changed on us. And through that, we were able to identify a lot of issues. On the next slide, kind of dovetailing into the connectivity, understanding the well fields, understanding the underutilized spaces, the materiality out there, and really harnessing what potential programming could have unfolded, not just what the RFP originally asked for, but what we can augment and tailor to the community. With that, we talked about the existing drainage framework and how that worked, understanding how all of the permits of the existing sub drainage is working, and understanding and how the constraints along that footprint on how demanding it is really tailors how the design could be implemented in a footprint. With that, then we went out for our first round of public outreach. We had 327 participants. We were able to parse that up into accessibility factors, understanding what the values were, what the activities were in terms of, all of the, primary features within the park. On the next slide is just, even more of that, what sports are played, how active are you there, how many times would you visit the park, what's your radius of walkability, and just really understanding how that could help. On the next slide, that led us to this plan, which was originally presented in 2022, and this was considered our schematic master plan. With this, there's a lot of portions that carried over through where we are today, but some of those did change as well. So I want to take an opportunity to walk through that. But with that, the original intention, and still is the intention, is that this is a community destination. This is the People's Park. Understanding that there's areas of shade, understanding that there's area of picnic pavilions, flexible lawn area, understanding that the parking area doubles up as an event plaza as well. That's where community events can happen, food truck rallies, and all of that good stuff. Programming activation is understanding that, a facade doesn't just have to be a facade. It could become a mural. It could become, art, and that's kind of where the conversation leads later. And then, of course, investing into the neighborhood, providing areas for fitness, and really activating the core. This then went into the East Stuart Community Public Outreach that allowed us to create this process of, one, understanding what toolkits are needed to really celebrate the history, memory, and meaning, and how we can then implement that into our park by honoring people and really understanding how that toolkit can strategize the development of a master plan. We split it up into 6 individual categories. I won't go too far into detail, obviously, because we have a lot to talk about. But as we flip through these slides, we start to talk about the Pioneer Committee that we established, the outreach that happened, and collecting all of the inventory, understanding all of these moments that can happen through it for us to then create this master plan. The master plan was presented in July of 2024, last year. And these are just some of the slides that go through there, really talking about the plan and understanding all the principles that really guide the decisions. And then at the tail end of this, you'll see how then we started talking about how all of this could be implemented into a master plan, into our park here at Guy Davis, and understanding all of those ideas come to life. So with that, these are all of the portions, the restroom. We have areas of celebration for Guy Davis himself. Of course, the long stretch of blank wall with an opportunity to become public art, and we could keep going here. And at the end of that, the end result was, this master plan that can really talk about what we can and can't include in this base bid as terms of budget, but having ad alternates, understanding that we can kind of pick and choose and get those, feel for numbers so that if we can implement it now, wonderful. If we can't, at least we have that number so that we could come back and make that implementation. So where are we now? So as Pinal had mentioned, we just submitted our 90% plans of the park. On the left-hand side, you'll see what was originally presented in 2022, and then the revised plan due to some changes that I'll walk through. On the next slide, you'll see kind of highlights of A, B, and C. A being the restroom and misting play area, B being the impacts from the well field and the fitness area, and then C, the addition of the skate park and plaza. The first one, restroom, this is a rendering consistent with what was presented at the master plan. You'll notice here that there's an extended canopy for shade for a picnic area, as well as the facade being treated with some murals. We have perforated metal with some color to give some illusion where some artwork and history can be implemented onto it. On the next slide, you'll see a side-by-side. The left-hand side is what was originally given to us. That's again showing that extended canopy with the building itself, as well as the perforated metal panels and patio area. We're looking at a total of around $903,000. It's a lot, right? We wanted to make sure that we had some options. So on the right-hand side, we got a revised proposal, still keeping the perforated columns to have that artwork, still keeping the mural, but removing the extended canopy, which is going to lose the shade in that area. The base bid obviously still at the $576. That's including your concession building, your restroom, your mechanical equipment storage, your sports storage area, your electrical riser area, and then of course the ad alternate, which we're proposing is perforated metal panels that with a total savings of around $150,000. The misting play area, this is thought of as an extension of the playground. There is no active splash pad area. It's just a misting area as a cool down for the playground. That was always the intention. The intention wasn't necessarily to have a splash pad per se, but the term is loose. Anything with water really gets classified as a splash pad. But again, the idea here is just for misting. On the next slide, you'll see what that breakdown looks like. We're using 3 elements, multiple of each. The equipment alone coming down to about 165. Obviously, that footprint can shrink if we need to address that. But the best case scenario here is that we're looking at around 165 for the material, not including the offloading and install, which you can probably add about 40 to 50% on top of that. The next is the wellfield impacts and fitness area. So starting back in 2024 is when we were coordinating with the city on the ongoing future wellfield improvements. We were understanding that it was determined that we shouldn't disturb the site plan as is, so we had a meeting with the city and the consultant. We walked through that, which is that graphic you'll see on the left-hand side of all our meeting notes, essentially designating where it best would fit. On January of this year, we were notified that there would be a potential siting of the well field within. We submitted those 60% plans in March, and then we received comments in April for the requirements of that existing well field access. And then on May 12th, we received, we had a review meeting to discuss all of the adjustments that were made. And then on the 29th, we were given a new wellhead location. So we made some modifications based off of that I want to walk through. On the next slide, you'll see on the left-hand side what was originally presented. You'll see a running track about a quarter mile looping around an interior portion there with 5 Vitacore stations, the outdoor workout areas. Unfortunately, because of the access to the well field that we need and the new proposed one, which you'll see on A in the right-hand diagram in the top left-hand corner, we had to agglomerate the Vitacore station to make it one located area. It works either way, but because of this, unfortunately, we weren't able to keep the running track. But we still have the trail around the outside of the park in order for the connectivity as well as the parking lot there. The only other area that really changed here is C and D. C on the top left-hand corner between A and B, There's an extensive area of reinforced concrete that's needed because of the boom truck that needs to access those well fields. So there's a good sized footprint there. And then E, we had to remove 2 parking spaces in order to provide that access. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the running track as proposed with the individual stations, and on the right-hand side now with an agglomerated portion. The last thing on the well field is that we provided this diagram for review, still pending approval, but we do believe it works. We were able to run our auto run analysis, and because of the size of that truck, that's why you'll see a little bit bigger of a dimension of the parking aisle in order to allow for that swing of the boom truck. The last portion here, the addition of the skate park and plaza. Back in October, it was approved to have the skate park incorporated into Guy Davis Park. We began our conversations with Spone Ranch in November, finally getting an executed proposal in February. We had some great conversations. We were able to kind of nail down a really fun portion here. In April 29th, the DD was submitted for review and approval. May 6th, they were able to get us the 50% construction documents submitted in order to incorporate that into the 90% plans. And what we're looking at from an estimate as of the original concept is around $650,000 right now. On the next slide, you'll see how that kind of falls into our park design and how that kind of really provides liveliness in that portion of the park. The next portion here that we want to talk about is FPL, our coordination. We originally started our FPL coordinations back in 2021. We have some poles that are located within the park that need to be relocated. The original meeting was talking about getting a quote to remove all the existing facilities and install new ones along the western portion of the park straight down. They were able to get us that quote, they were able to get us the design plans, but then we had to revisit the schematic design. Once we did that and engaged the master plan, we were able to go back to FPL. The FPL PM at that time had changed. Unfortunately, they told us that they needed a permit and that they needed 100% electrical drawings in order to give us a quote or move forward. So we decided to do utility easement and title search exploration to understand why those things would be needed. And that further took us to April 29th, where we had a new meeting with a new FPL project manager, our third one, who was able to finally get plans submitted to the city for review, but unfortunately they didn't follow the plans that we had talked about during the meeting and the scope, so that's currently being revised. The drainage study and report, it's a hefty one. We're talking about the 2 basins that are located within the park, one not permitted. The larger one that is on the south portion of the park is now being brought up to the demands that it needs to be, which is, you'll see on the 3rd bullet, there's a lot of text, I won't go through this, I promise. But you'll see that on the 3rd bullet there that it's designed in order to contain a 25-year, 3-day storm within the pond. That's currently the design demands. And because of the amount of impervious area, you'll see, later on, we'll have a quick conversation about the parking, but that's why impervious surfaces are being proposed currently in the parking lot. We are exploring the ability to take that away, just so that we can have 1, cost savings, and 2, be able to invest that into other portions of the park, but just to know that that is underway right now. The irrigation coordination, right now we are understanding that there is reclaim. We do know that we have to provide our new service. We had a meeting with Public Works on site, and unfortunately the current service is at capacity, servicing all of the fields on the east portion of the park. We are going to have to provide that new service, so we are currently awaiting the direction on where we should stub out, if it's on the north or the south portion of it. Ideally it comes from the south, but we'll be able to provide a better cost estimate once we get that direction. So, design costs. I took the cost estimate on the left-hand side and I split it up into what I call the big ticket items. So you'll see, starting from top to bottom, the soft costs are coming in at around $760. This is going to include your mobilization, this is going to include your permitting, this is going to include your MOT, anything along the lines of those contractor upfront fees. Your general site improvements, those are your furnishings, those are your walkways, and things that dovetail into that. Electrical service is your lighting, not including the the pole fixtures, but including all the conduits and everything that needs to go into that. Your parking is sitting at about 1.4. Again, that's because of the pervious calculations that we have to meet. So a lot of impervious material, pervious pavers, your pervious concrete. Those are the things that are really adding up into that portion. Your multi-purpose field is at 722, primarily because of the lighting. The Musco lighting is coming in at around 450, I believe. Forgive me if I got that number wrong. But the rest of it is really just the grading and sod. Your playground and water play, that's resurfacing the existing playground and the expansion of the water play. You're coming in at 388, right? So as you go down, you'll notice that the big ticket items are sitting at your general site improvements, your parking, and your drainage. At the millions. We do have 1.1 million in contingencies. That's a 20% on the subtotal. I will say that each area of the big ticket item also has a contingency. We like to stat our numbers. We have a lot of projects. We do building department services, so we have a lot of resources that we're able to look at live actionable costs. So we always want to make sure that we're being as realistic as possible. So the next one here is the ad alternatives. So we have all these priced out as well. And on the last one, you'll see there a credit. So this is currently using, if we were to use asphalt in lieu of pervious concrete, we're sitting at around $157,000 credit. And that could be expanded even more. What I mean by that is that this number is for heavy use vehicles. So, you know, the boom truck's coming in every now and then, but if there's a possibility that we can actually save more on that, there is a chance there too. So we're studying that. The last thing that I want to talk about is scheduling in terms of where we're at and where we could finalize this. So on track 1, you'll see if we were to build skate park first, how that looks. And then track 2, where we're at right now, is how the skate park can be built with the park and what that track looks like. I'm going to look at the bottom one first, which is where we're currently at. So if we were to go in to our 100% plans right now with minimal modifications, we're looking at submitting to South Florida Water Management District by August 14th, hopefully. If anybody knows the process of drainage permits, it's a fun one. The first submission is typically 90 days of review. Then you have 30 days to resubmit. So you're looking at a minimum of 120 days of review and approval. So that means by December, we could have a permit. If all goes right, in the interim, we'll be working on that FPL coordination. We'll be working on all of the crossing the T's and dotting the I's, so that hopefully we would be able to put the park out for RFP by March of 2026. Forgive the years on top. Which then means that we go into the negotiation process around May. The contractor can mobilize in July, and construction starts in August. If we do track 1, essentially what would happen is that the skate park would bring their portion of the plans to 100%. They would have to expedite that, I believe. There is some code research that needs to be done because of access to the skate park. We may have to provide parking. We'll have to provide, the tree mitigation. The drainage report would have to be separated. So all of those portions of it would have to get tagged onto that. That portion of it would then, be able to submit for permit by, I believe, September. And then, the dominoes fall for that portion. So you're looking at having a constructed skate park, with contingencies applied, hopefully by August. During that time, the park would have to take a pause. Reason being is we would still be advancing the FPL coordination and everything that we said, but we would need the as-built of that in order to then revise the drainage report and come back to that, so that then we can resubmit to SFMD and get that finalized, so that then, once we get the as-built, we then pick back up, we then enter into our permitting, and then we would go into construction. The only other caveat that we would have to be aware of is the functioning of the skate park during that period of construction. Since it is encapsulated within the park, if the full scope of the area around the skate park isn't built, we would have to close the skate park during construction for safety concerns. Once a contractor mobilizes, then the skate park would have to shut down. So those are the only two caveats within that, but I just wanted to make sure that I ran through those, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that I would be able to. So thank you. Just one more slide after the thank you. I just wanted to show, just to make sure that everyone was aware, we do get the manufacturer's numbers. I just want to show everyone how we're getting these prices. So we'll get the quote on top. We'll get the amount. The subtotal will then come. Then what we do is we add the tax. We add a contractor markup. We add the install and footing. We add the freight if it's not included into the price. Then we'll put a contingency on it, and then that's how we get our number per pole. We do that for every single item. So there's always a good fluctuation there in terms of the number, and we're really making sure that we're trying to be good to you guys. So that's what I have so far, so thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Mr. Vice Mayor, do you have a question? You can have a question for either Panal or for this gentleman here.
Do you mind going back to that timeline
Yeah.
between the two options?
Which, by the way, I don't believe was included in our.
Yeah, I was a little bit concerned that wasn't in our packet. So,
This wasn't in the packet?
no. So, why would the, let's see here, the design for the rest of the park be on hold? Is that what I'm seeing?
Not necessarily on hold. We would still be going as if we were submitting for permit, but we wouldn't be able to submit for the permit until we got the as-built from the skate park construction.
Why? Because from my understanding, we were doing all that in the background anyway. Where it's presented here as everything stops on the park.
Right now, we're moving forward with the
Correct.
skate park within the park. This was just to show you if the board directed staff to just do the skate park, we just wanted you to see the schedule.
But that schedule is not accurate as depicted here then. For building skate park first, that's not an accurate depiction in that infographic because we are already doing the other parts of the park already.
Right, we are.
So this is not an accurate graphic that was not included in our packet to make a recommendation for a thing that the commission's already voted for to move forward with. Were you aware of that we voted to have the skate park go first?
Yeah.
The commission direction was to immediately move forward on the skate park and not to let the park hold up the skate park.
Correct.
But it was not to halt Guy Davis Park.
Correct.
So Guy
Where
Davis
this-
Park was in play for 3 years before the skate park
Correct.
even.
Where this graphic makes it look like we're holding up the rest of the park for the skate
Well,
park.
I don't think the intention is to say that anything's holding up.
Well, you have blocked out the rest of the park underneath from happening?
Unfortunately, the park would go up until the point where it can submit to permit, but the park can't submit for a drainage permit if the skate park would be put in first, because that would have to pull its own permit since it's going into the ground, since we don't have the permit for the construction of the park. That's what I'm trying to portray here.
Right, so we would have to treat it as two separate projects, and we could move forward with the skate park, but it would have to have its own South Florida Water Management District permit, and we can't continue with the design of this overall park until we get the permits from South Florida Water Management District for the skate park, go in construction, and get as-built. Once we have as-built, then we could move forward with
Then
this.
you can file for that with South Florida Water Management? You can't do that?
No, not simultaneously. We have to wait till the skate park is completed.
Only because it affects the pervious and impervious.
So why don't we just go with the
I don't believe the
judicious?
Vice Mayor.
Oh, sorry. I'm
Well,
just
there's-
thinking out aloud. Sorry, sorry, Mr. Vice Mayor.
But if we were going to change tactics, then that wouldn't happen on this board. That would happen
No, this is a CRA.
but we voted in the commission to do the other already.
Well, the commission doesn't have any money, so 100% of the funding for the skate park and 100% of the funding for the park are coming from the CRA. So when we received the legislative funding for Guy Davis, there was a motion on the floor by yourself, by you, and I don't know who seconded it, to add a skate park. And in that conversation, you said to have it separately, and it
Not
went
separate,
forward.
first. First, not separate.
Oh, it couldn't have gone first because the park was already there, and we already had funding, and we already had design. So we couldn't have turned the clock back.
This is my problem with this. This was not in our packet.
I didn't see this either, so I'm not.
This is a big recommendation. Now, nobody's had the ability to consider this or what you're saying about South Florida Water Management District. And the implication is we need to vote on this, and that would supersede the vote that we've already made to do something different.
This is actually a presentation, so we won't be.
But we're now sort of fishing for that direction to have
we
this
would need
board vote.
feedback,
Right.
exactly.
This is a problem,
Well,
that this board does not have the data it needs
it's
to make that
still-
decision.
But what the board voted for was to separate the park. And
Not
to
separate, go first.
Well, separate and have it be its own separate
You're
project ahead
categorizing
of
it
the
different than
park.
I would.
And so we funded separate money for the skate park. And as I was saying, it was,
It's not separate, it's going to come out of the entire Guy Davis
no,
project.
no, absolutely not. Completely separate.
Ultimately, it's coming out of this overall
100%
quote
separate.
that's on our page that's saying 10,
10 million for Guy Davis, 700,000 separate for the park.
why would it not be included in the Guy Davis budget?
Because you guys submitted an application to the state of Florida, and in the application to the state of Florida, it had a reservation of where a skate park would be.
Correct.
Based upon fundraising that was going to happen and that was going to come back the following year. The fundraising didn't happen, but we applied to the state of Florida with the designs we had and said, we'll build this design and we'll spend $7 million on Guy Davis if you'll give us $500,000 toward it. And the state of Florida said, yes. Then when they said yes at the meeting that came back from that, the city commission then said, we want to spend $500,000 on a skate park. The money from the state of Florida didn't allow, we can't use the state of Florida money to do it.
But this should be part of a presentation for everybody to look at and consider and see that, of what was submitted to the state then.
You guys voted on it, it was. You guys had
But if
it.
you're saying that that does not count, if the skate park does not count as being a part of Guy Davis and what we submitted to the state,
If
that
we're
should be a
doing
part
it-
of this
If we're doing it
conversation.
first and separate like that, it can't count. We can't do the skate park and say to the state, we want this money to contribute toward that matching fund if it's not being all done at once. It's being done, so it has to be done separately because the money for the skate park doesn't apply to the matching fund because that's not what was approved by the state. Now, this year, we submitted again for another $500,000, included trying to include the skate park and some of the design in it, but the state said, or the governor, the state actually passed it, but the governor vetoed it, so that $500,000 didn't get funded. The plan that you voted on, including the skate park, didn't get funded by the state. So the only one that got funded by the state was the one the year before.
But you're making a point that what we submitted to the state did not include a skate park, but it did.
Well,
It included the carve out for the skate park.
It included a location.
That
for a
was in
skate
every set
park.
of plans that we saw along the way.
It was just a location.
When I was sitting here with
It was
Troy and Eula, the skate park, everybody got to see that the skate park's in it. The skate park didn't go to the state because it was on the presentation that everybody saw.
What happened was, the CRA, CRB meeting that was going to the state had a parking lot where the skate park is, and then a group came in at that meeting, we were all sitting just like this too, and did a presentation. And a motion was said, can we change that and reserve space so that we can have a skate park in the future if they raised the money and got the funding, because at the time, Tony Hawk and Nike and all these other people might come up with money.
We're digressing.
And and I'm just historically telling you what happened. The commission voted and said, yes, we will remove the parking lot and dedicate that triangle to a future skate park. And then that was submitted to the state.
But there's a problem because none of that information was available for anybody here to review.
So we,
You
skate park was
voted
just-
on it. You guys,
I know, but if the plan now is to have this board vote to do something different along those lines and for those reasons, this board should have access to that information in the packet, including this slide, instead of an on-the-fly potential vote to reorganize the whole thing.
and honestly, I don't know.
Because I thought this would come up, this skate park moving first, I wanted the consultant to provide the timeline. If we were to move forward with skate park first, what would it look like? And if we were to do it together, what would it look like?
But to
the
the,
direction is to move forward with the skate park first, and if that's the direction of the board, we can, and that's what we're showing you, that if we do that.
dropping a
we-
grenade pinball into this meeting with this slide that nobody had
Well,
access
except
to.
for the voting of
or any of the
doing skate
background
park
data.
first was what the grenade was. There was no presentation of that beforehand. There was no discussion of stormwater at all.
And if this was an issue, that vote happened when? October last year.
And it's not an issue. It's
And now we're about to be in August, and this was, if this,
Were you allowed
if this has
to
been,
finish answering?
no,
her?
if this has been an issue from then until now, why is this coming up now?
Well, we've been moving both simultaneously, so if, so we have not, it's not that we can't move forward with skate park first. We can. Now what we'll need to do is just submit to South Florida Water Management District just for the skate park, correct? We would have to do the stormwater showing that we're just doing the skate park.
Right.
And
Which is
that's the
correct.
application we would make.
We would have to revise our current report, because right now the skate park's included into the park because we were going to submit it all together.
Why wouldn't you just submit that altogether?
Because we can't
for
do
the
it
South
first.
Florida Water Management.
Because you're saying we can't do that. You're saying no, because that's not doing it first.
But if it is true that submitting to South Florida Water Management District just with the skate park pushes not only the Guy Davis project as a whole, but the skate park as well, further down the line.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. So then you would submit to South Florida Water Management District everything
Push it out further because we,
So staff's recommendation.
while
would be
still
based
moving
upon-
forward as quickly as possible with the skate park.
Staff's recommendation
As
based
per
upon
what we
the
voted on.
presentation from the experts that are the consultants in the case is, yeah, we should submit them together so as to not cause any delay at all. That's the purpose of this presentation. If the board says no, we want just the skate park to go first and separate, so be it. It continues to go first and separate.
Yeah.
I don't have any answers to it because I didn't do the design. I didn't have this chart either. I don't know why it would be delayed or not, but I think we should direct questions to them and say, what's the reason for the delay if we do just the skate park first, if that's what the pleasure of the board is? It doesn't, to me, the direction is that if the stormwater has to be done for the entire thing, the board never directed staff to do the skate park in lieu of Guy Davis.
Correct.
It said to do them together, but not to let Guy Davis hold up the skate park.
Correct.
And that's exactly what's been happening. That's exactly what we've been doing the whole time. We've never, ever had Guy Davis step in front of the skate park. When the state didn't have this funding this time and didn't incorporate the skate park, we immediately added to amend to the budget $700,000 to make sure there'd be 100% funding for the skate park without any budget amendments or any holdups or anything. And we're still on track for that. The design, he gave us the calendar dates of where they spoke with Fawn Ranch, and when they spoke to, the other one was the city's issues with regard to the wells, all like month after month after month, nothing saying this went ahead of the skate park, because nothing did. And what we're hearing is, here's our option. We can do the skate park first, but it appears that if we do that, the way that the state of Florida's Department of Environmental Protection is going to treat it is that because the stormwater is going to be separate, it's going to require 2 stormwater permits, it could cause delays. Again, not making the skate park second, skate park would still be first. It would just create delays. It sounds like his recommendation is to submit the stormwater as one so that it can be completed and then go forward. There will be a time, as he mentioned, that the skate park's finished and then it has to be closed to finish Guy Davis because of landscaping and other construction and access because of the safety issues during that. I don't think it'll be closed for months on end, but there'll be days that they have to have access and they fence it off or do whatever they do to make it not be open while they finish Guy Davis. But the presentation I got, I never heard anything that the skate park was not going first or that it wasn't ahead of it.
Do you foresee, in the same way we're talking about South Florida Water Management District permits, do you foresee any other obstacles like this that need,
to replace those trees or pay into the mitigation.
So if we separate them,
It
the
would be-
skate park has to put the trees in the skate park. If they're one project together,
That it
the
displaces,
park can
right?
absorb the trees, and then there is no mitigation because they get planted in the park, and therefore it doesn't mitigate because there's still sufficient trees.
It's the footprint of impact that really determines that.
Mr. Vice Mayor, would you allow some other
Sure.
members to ask questions? I'll be happy to come back to you. Mr. Board Member Shearer.
I think one's ahead of me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Board Member Beckdahl.
Yeah, I just have a few quick questions.
Could you speak into the microphone,
Oh,
please?
sorry, I was so comfortable here. I was like, it's been really nice. I just have a few questions. One, I want to know, and I'm not being facetious, but how did we go from 5 million to 9 or 10 million? I've been involved with this project for a long time, and I understand some costs, but how could we be that far off when we're now ready to start construction and we're $5 million off?
pre-COVID numbers.
And I was going to say the $5 million number was a guess without any budget or design at all, and it was what the CRA said that they wanted to look at doing. The original number was a little bit over 7, or it was close to 8, and then when it was submitted to the state, it was a $7 million match for the $500,000. Didn't include the skate park, didn't include the splash pad, didn't include a pool, didn't include other stuff. And even by the time those numbers came back from the state, we knew that number was over 8 or 8.5. And then last year, we saw the numbers getting close to 9. And so with tariffs and cement costs, and like you said, the pre-COVID numbers were just simply what they were. But I don't think it ever was a $5 million number.
All right. Well, I know it seemed like it was back then in the day, but I'm old and I forget now. So next question that I had was, is any of this money for this going to the ball fields, football, basketball? Is any of it for that, or is this, I didn't see a lot of stuff in there showing basketball courts and additional football, additional baseball and things like that. I was just curious as to what portion of the park is going to that.
Yeah, the footprint boundary that was given throughout the RFP process is always terminated at the parking lot of the community center on the north parcel, going all the way to the existing fence and pathway where the existing restroom is and straight down. So none of the fields have ever been included into the scope.
So, I've been out there a number of times, and for activities, and the sports aspect of that, particularly the soccer, the football, or lacrosse, are huge out there. There's tons of people out there, tons of kids out there all day and night. And I'm just kind of concerned that all this other stuff is really, really nice. But given the choice of a splash pad, most of the people down there would rather have an indoor basketball court, or
Except for the mist pad was a couple $100,000, and the indoor basketball court was another 8 to 10 million.
well, maybe we could borrow the Boys and Girls Club. So that was just really nice.
That was part of the problem.
Maybe we could. Okay, so I understand that. I understand.
We are adding,
Can I ask you to, because it says here, multi-purpose fields,
Yes.
722,000. I assume those are the ball fields? Correct?
We're proposing a large multi-purpose field in the middle of the park as an extension, obviously for overflow of the existing fields. So that's sized to, appropriate football practice. It's sized to appropriate lacrosse,
I
soccer.
assume that's where they play rugby currently, that field. So there's, okay.
So the next question I had is, I saw the skate park, and it's pretty cool. But it doesn't appear to me, and maybe I'm wrong, that there's kind of an area that's more for advanced and kind of an area that's more for beginners. And the one thing I see going to different skate parks around Martin County is that if kids are trying to learn, there's advanced skaters out there who are, who are really good at taking up the facility, and the younger kids are having a hard time, finding a place to try things without killing themselves. So I don't want my grandkids to kill myself. So the question I had is, first of all, you know, this thing can all be funded by the CRA because it's in the CRA, right?
Yes.
And so we're looking for things to spend money on in the CRA, because if we don't spend it on the CRA, it's got to be spent in the CRA. So to some degree, I think the funding is not as much of a question, but the question I have is if it's possible to pull the skate park out of this thing and put it somewhere by itself within the project, that it would be separate of the drainage, separate of all of this, and we could just get a skate park approved. One that actually might be a little better than what is shown here, because it might have some diversity in participation in terms of, you know, the advanced versus beginners versus that kind of thing. And we could just build it and get it going rather than waiting for the other $7 million or $10 million that we're spending on the park itself. So anyway, that was just my thought.
Board member Shearer?
A question or two for the presenter, thanks.
Sure.
You had a slide that had the, a little bit the history of the project, and there was a slide it was a lot of data, but the slide that was summarizing, I think, a survey of 327 participants.
Sure.
I'm curious to know if those participants were from the neighborhood, from the city, from outside the city, the county, or was it any idea what scope that was, or was it a random selection, or where did the sample for the survey come from?
That was a monkey survey that we did. It was mostly the residents of Stuart. We would go out to events and bring surveys for the residents to complete. So it was online surveys and also in-person surveys that we collected.
Okay. And so that was used to help drive the elements that are contained in the park, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We started the scope with multi-purpose fields. There were some elements that were already in the scope, but then any additional things that came from the feedback and surveys, those were added afterwards.
Oh,
Like the track,
the so-called scope creep. I like that description, yeah. So, changing the subject, and I was listening to all the discussion about the scope creep, and perhaps I'm really naive, and I'm often accused of being naive, Jeff. Is there any reason why we wouldn't just proceed all at once with the whole project at the same time?
It's the pleasure of the board.
Okay. That's all my question.
Board member Moser?
Oh, you want to speak?
I do, thank you. I don't know if we were going to go around the room with questions and comments, or if now is an okay time. I've got a pretty big list. Now good?
Proceed, Ms. Moser.
Okay.
A long list.
I know.
I got it down to 2 pages. Yes, so I've actually sent Manal most of these in a sketch already, and I don't want to waste everyone's time, so I'll try and go through the ones I think that are the most important. First of all, well, I'll say I did bother Manal to get the 90% CD set, and she sent that to me today, so I was able to really get into the weeds of the construction documents. The tree palm planting plan. Right now, we've only got 21 new trees and 9 new palm trees called out in our 90% plan set. And that's a really big site, and it's not a lot of trees. If anybody's been outside today, it's really hot. And those trees, I think, would be hugely beneficial. I'm going to talk about a couple different spots where I think they could go. In and around the parking lot. It looks like in your original plan, you had a lot more trees. In the new plan, there are a lot less trees. There's this saying that I heard a couple years ago, and it's really stuck with me. Everybody wants to park in the shade, but nobody wants to plant a tree. Around the playground and water area, we're getting the new resurfacing for the playground. There's shade sails out there already. I've been to the new Langford Park with the shade sails and the new resurfaced playground, and it is so hot. It's just really not making a big difference, not like a tree would. And I think we've got little kids playing, and we need to keep them cool. Within and around the exercise area, around the proposed and the existing athletic fields. My kids are out there playing lacrosse. They did the Smart Start program. I live down the street. We're at this park a lot. And in the evenings when the sun is setting, it's brutally hot out there. It's also hard to see. So not just around the proposed athletic field, but the existing athletic fields and the track around that perimeter, I think would be hugely beneficial. And then around the perimeter of the skate park. And this one's a little different because we've got to keep the debris off the skate park. So we've got to be careful about what trees we pick and how close they are. But every little bit helps. And then maybe in the bottom of that drainage field that's going to be to the east of the parking lot, I just think the more trees, the better. I don't know if I'm allowed to pass this around. I did send a sketch to Pinal today of this is the plan with what trees are existing and what trees are proposed, and then
Mary,
You're
I think
welcome.
if we hand them to the clerk.
Well, she can share it with the board right now, and then we'll just give a copy to the clerk.
Okay. That's just like the level of intensity of trees I'd like to see in this park to make it a successful year-round park. Otherwise, June, July, August, September, we can't use most of these
Just one copy.
amenities.
As that gets passed around, I will say that I do think that maybe a symbol was missed, because although, yes, there are only 21 new trees, we're relocating about 100 palms throughout.
Okay.
I know palms don't provide the most amount of shade, obviously, but they are established, if you've seen them,
Sure.
25, 30 feet,
Okay,
sable
yeah,
palms.
something might be missing, and the existing trees and relocation plan, it doesn't call out species, so I
Right.
can't tell.
And the other option that we have on that, of course, is that if the direction is to maybe minimize the amount of palms, we can remove them and mitigate them for shade trees in lieu of the relocation, because,
Okay.
relocation isn't cheap either, but.
Yeah, sure. And I will say, Flagler Park has a ton of palm trees, and it actually is pretty well shaded, but you've got to really beef up the density to make that work. A couple other notes about the trees. So what I saw on the tree list is,
Could you just pull the microphone a little bit?
oh, sure, yeah. What I saw in the tree list,
Shove that over for.
and I'll be louder. What I saw on the tree list are crepe myrtle, slash pines, sweet acacia, and cabbage palmetto. I would not actually call any of those a canopy shade tree. Even a slash pine, which does give good shade, it's so tall that shade's moving around all day, so you don't get a dedicated shade space. The sweet acacia, unless in landscape architecture, sometimes we have the same name for different plants. But what I'm envisioning is a small tree with yellow flowers and thorns. And we've got it spec'd right by the kids' water play area. So those need to go. I think we just need to revisit the tree list. I think the planting list is great. You've got a lot of native species. But in terms of the tree list, I think we really need to make an impact with how much shade, and these are not going to provide that. Let's see. The concession stand, I would like to see, and I'm just going to say these comments because I'm sorry, you're at 90%. No. Pinal's got the list, but you're at 90%, and I apologize, they're late in the game, but this is the first chance I've had to make comments, and it's my chance for the commission to hear my thoughts. I liked that extra shade to the east side of the building for the concession stand. I'd really like to see that stay. I just think, you order your food, you can stand under there. You're at a football game, at that athletic field, it starts raining, you can run under there for shelter. I just think it's a good amenity. A lot of St. Augustine grass in the parking lot, $33,000 worth. That grass likes a lot of water. That site is very sandy. I have that grass in my backyard. It requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of water. So I don't know if that's the best spec for that area. Site furnishings, they're really beautiful. I looked them up, but they do have a lot of wood tops, and in our sun and our weather, those get worn down really quickly, so I might visit a different model. Parking. We are spending $1.4 million on 100 new parking spaces, and Pinal and I talked about this, and it sounds like the reason we need 100 parking spaces is because that's what the code says based on each of these different recreational elements. This is the one time I would ask that maybe you guys reconsider how much parking you're requiring for this area. You know, there's that big park, I think it's Halapatioke, out by the interstate off Canner Highway. Nobody can walk to that park. Everybody's got to drive because there's no houses around it. But this park has a ton of residents to the north, a ton of residents to the east. So we have options. We can walk, we can bike, we can drive. I'm just not sure we need that many spaces, especially when we've got spaces at the community center. We've got spaces on the north side of the fields and spaces on the east side of the fields. And on the busiest sports days, you know, when all the lacrosse teams are playing and the track kids are out there at the same time, there's still parking. There's still plenty of parking. So I'm not saying nix all of it, but I'm just saying it's a really big cost, and I don't think we need it all, and it's somewhere we could save some money. And in terms of parking, also, we've got $1.4 million in 100 spaces, and then $1,500 for 4 new bike racks for 8 parking spaces. I do bike to this park, and I do think, you know, I'd rather there be a few less spaces for cars and a few more spaces for the bikes, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper to provide at the same time. That's my parking. Another point just about that lot in general is the orientation of the lot and the amenities around it, it's so far away from the community who's using it on a day-to-day basis. You know, I see folks playing dominoes, listening to music up in the dirt parking lot with the oak trees where it's nice and shady. And when I'm thinking about how I'm driving to this site as a Stuart resident, I don't think a lot of people would take that route. So it just feels like a lot of money being spent in an area that maybe is not highly trafficked, not at least by Stuart residents. I mean, if I'm coming from Palm City, I'll park there.
Bonnie, can you clarify that a little bit more? I'm sorry. I'm trying to follow you.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to be too, I don't want to be too accusatory. I don't want it to sound accusatory. I think this park is going to be great for anybody who wants to use it, but it's in the city of Stuart, and it's paid for by our CRA. And so I think the people that matter the most when you're designing it are the Stuart residents. And if you just zoom out on a map and maybe Google like a dot map where you can see like where people live to the north and to the east of this area, and maybe parking is better provided on the north side of the park because that's where, if you're driving, you'd access it more regularly. Now, if I'm coming from Palm City and I'm taking Monterey to Dixie Highway, that's where I would go. But, you know, am I going to spend $1.4 million for people to park who don't live in my city?
Versus the parking off of 14th Street?
Oh,
10th Street.
Off of 10th Street. And I bring that up because, and Penel's got it in her budget for a couple of years down the road to redesign that portion of 10th Street. Right now, that street is 30 feet wide, and we've had some folks come in and talk about speeding, especially in front of the community center. You could probably get about 50 parking spaces striped on 10th Street for really cheap. Parallel parking just along the road without having to make any other changes, just stripe it. And so just, if I'm going to be a budget hawk, that's just a more efficient use of the dollars. Let's see. Mark talked about it a little bit, but in terms of, I know it's not in the scope, but the existing baseball field, athletic fields, track, and then just generally the entrances off of 10th Street for 10th Street residents and folks that are driving into the park. There's no new programming up there. It's obviously, it's out of the scope, but I think like the tiniest bit.
Commissioner Clark.
okay. May not be as organized as Bonnie, but let's see. So somebody mentions scope Creeping? Am I gonna get credit for a new urban word or something?
You take credit.
Okay. So, just in line of what Bonnie was mentioning, let's just be clear. Maybe, I didn't get your name, sir. I just know that you're with GMA.
Dominic.
Dominique, okay. Maybe he can go back to something that actually shows the outline of the plan. But for people in general, and I hope for what my understanding is after working with this all these years, is that we're talking about the part of that area of what we consider the 10th Street Park area, the inactive part, the part that's beyond where the tot lot is now, it goes all the way down to 14th Street. We're not talking about the 10th Street Recreation Center buildings. We're not talking about the basketball area, and we're not talking about the Russell Holloway track area to the east. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes, okay. So for people who are expecting all kinds of changes and improvements to the 10th Street Recreation Center itself and to the thing, so we just want to make that clear, number one.
Interrupt to
Thank
clarify,
you.
Commissioner Clark. This is the 10th Street Rec Center.
Right.
This is the parking lot for the 10th Street Rec Center. This is the tennis courts. They're blue now. They look like not. And that's the basketball court. It's kind of hidden underneath that, but there's a basketball court here as well. This is all in existence now. This field is not really in existence right now. This field already exists, not in that condition. This field already exists, and this track and field already exists to some extent. The improvements we're talking about consist of this area, and then the skateboard park too is down here as well. Like, there's a triangle right here that's kind of missing in part of this property. Parking that Bonnie was talking about here, there's already a significant amount of parking. These trees are new, but there's a significant amount of parking at the water treatment plant here where people park and access these fields now. There's also unpaved and parking up here, and then there's also parking in this area here and some behind the building that already exists. But this structure, the area that you're saying, is not included at all, nor is the tennis courts, the basketball court. And when she said the tot area, that was this area right here. So everything south down. The primary improvements, stormwater, tree removal, all the stuff going with that were here. And then there were improvements to these fields, but the complete renovation is down.
Okay, perfect. All right, so next, let's go into that center area where it says you said 1.8, no, sorry, 722, the multi-purpose fields. My question is just, that's going to remain, is it going to be grass or some kind of a spongy surface or whatever that appropriate surface is that you can mark and remark and use for different things?
We originally proposed artificial turf. We had that exploration. It will not be artificial turf. It will be sod.
It'll be sod.
Sod, yeah.
Okay.
Natural
You
grass.
could mark it for different sports.
And it could be marked for different sports, yeah.
Okay, but not, the hair doesn't live up to, it would have to be a different type of sod.
It wouldn't be St. Augustine. It would be Bermuda most likely, which is a high tolerance for sport activity.
Okay, perfect.
Because that artificial turf gets really hot.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then to dominoes, but not just dominoes. We're talking about parking, we're talking about shade. Well, Bonnie mentioned it, Ms. Moser mentioned it. So because she mentioned people sitting along the shade area. So, dominoes, it's a real word, it's like, I speak English.
It's a game.
I speak English, okay, all right, good. Okay, so, and I speak good English, okay? I'm sorry. Don't get me started. Anyway, that area there, that, like you said, could be It's in the future, Pinal has it in the future. It's not going to be stabilized or asphalted now. That area along 10th Street. That's not going to be changed. Going to stay with the trees. However, in this area, and I didn't see it in here, I thought at one point, because we've changed so many times, when somebody had brought up the little, you call it the Miston area, but even adjacent to that, some kind of a little, it was right after where, actually it's supposed to close up to the front, where the Guy Davis hat was as an entrance to the park, that there would be some kind of a little square of something. And I think that someplace in that area would be where people should be able to have a piazza, a plaza, that you would have the games and play those kind of outdoor things. I think that's where that should be. A piazza, as in Italy. Yeah.
Could you point, Mr.
Mr.
Martell, to where?
Martell, please.
Could you point to where she's
Reorder,
talking
it's
about?
going to be like 3 or 4 years.
Is it green?
Here.
No, right here? Commissioner Clark, this?
No, it would be inside the bottom area there where the skate park and all that would be.
Oh, way down there.
Yeah.
Just this green button.
Oh, no, you go on
It's
and,
referring to here.
or up a little bit.
Street.
Yeah.
If I
Because
may.
we, remember when Urban Design student came in, they had like a little, not a lazy river, but some kind of a water feature. And there was something that would be on the side that would be a gathering spot, which would have trees and people could have games and things. But maybe that plan has been so old.
No, that's in the master.
It's embedded
It
in the
is
master
in there,
plan.
it's embedded somewhere in the master, it's still in the master
Yes.
plan? Okay, fine, good, go on.
And we do have picnic shelters still in that area as well.
Okay, you still have the picnic shelters in that area. Okay, Mosier, more trees. Okay, as to Miss Mosier and her ideas, I think even though this is a presentation today, if it does need to come up, I would definitely be moving for, if we have to have numbers, that's fine, but I definitely move for, let's consider less concrete, less parking, because we're gonna have so much shared parking and an attraction for people to walk and bike there, probably put more bike, places for people to park, they put their bikes.
Bike racks.
And bike racks. So Bonnie, I appreciate that thought, and if we need to have a vote on it, or to tell Pinal and Mr. Giardina to look at, adjusting the plans to have less, concrete parking, especially at the bottom end towards 14th Street, I would definitely agree with that. However, I think though, because at the south end towards 14th Street, when you do have the skate park, it will become somewhat of a regional thing, and people will come there, and if they have a little competition and other things, people are going to be driving, and they're not going to want to park all on the other side of 10th Street.
Right.
And come around. So we'll have parking, but I think that, how soon will it be that the parking on 10th Street can be stabilized and taken care of along 10th Street? That's
Adding,
4 or 5 years from now?
that's in the budget for 2028. For design in 2030 would be the construction.
Okay, all right. I mean, the park has been there for so long and people are there, and I don't know, I didn't see I remember the surveys, and of course I'd see them also in my paperwork here, but sometimes things are so fine I don't get to blow them up. I can, but I'm not sure if we, maybe we could just informally ask those people who use the park along that area and use a shaded area and everything. Maybe, I guess there is a spot for them in the park now. They can, because the parking is gonna, when the parking is officially there, they're not gonna be encouraged to officially sit out a parking space unless we want to do some kind of a bump out or build out bulb or whatever for little sitting areas for people to play dominoes there, but encourage them to come into the center of the park and do that. But I don't know if they got involved with the response to the survey, and maybe we at least need to make sure that all those needs are considered. And we're at this point in time, so I would love if, a couple of things I had was, you had mentioned about the drainage and maybe about in your 5th slide, I'd love to see what it is on my paperwork here. In your 5th slide, when you showed like the South Florida water management thing, and then you had like a shaded area, like 2 different shades of blue. I just wanted to see something about the drainage there, to maybe ask a question what that means for us.
It's
In that
probably like slide
permitting-
4.
Huh?
Sorry, I was saying it might be like slide 4.
Oh, slide 4.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure.
it was in the beginning.
This one here,
Yeah, that one with the blue, what is that?
10. Page
Existing drainage
page
framework.
16, you're 10.
Oh, I think I
You're
saw it.
10.
Yeah, I was just concerned that,
Next slide. Next slide. There.
There you go.
yeah, that baby blue and what that means for us in terms of the time frame that you're talking about with the skate park and the drainage, again, just explain that for the public.
Sure. So because of the fact that there's 2 basins, so there's like this weird wiggle in the middle that you could see. There's 2 basins. One is elongated and it takes care of all of the sports field. So you'll see that sports field flows into the one. Then there's a little bit of a mound that carries a force main and reclaim line. And then
Do
right,
you want the little pointer, where's the pointer, Mike?
Right here.
Sorry. Thank you.
I guess I should say I'm not an engineer and I will never claim to be, for the record. But from my understanding, we have 1 basin here of a detention area. We have 1 detention area here. This footprint right here is being modified currently. This footprint, from our understanding, is also not permitted. It was over-excavated to allow for additional drainage back when it was created. Because of that, it also is servicing a outfall right here that goes across the street and empties out into it. So it's capturing street runoff from here, dumping it in here and coming underneath the ground and then emptying into here. This area is also collecting any stormwater from this area here. So within the park boundary, which is not including this detention area that I just talked about, anything that dumps into this is being calculated right now. So that's all the way up to the footprint of the road here, all the way over to the property line north, and then up around here. So anything that gets touched here will affect the number of the drainage of this area here. Right now, everything is being accounted for. Skate park, improvements of the multipurpose field, all of that is under 1 South Florida Water Management District permit application.
Okay, so, Mr. Mortel, I'm sure that you don't know the answer, but I'm asking. So with regard to the old history with our airport, with A1A, with an old plume that's in the area, and with all the work that we've done for osmosis plant and our deep well injection, is there anything that potentially could be found or has been a part of the history of this area?
No. So the airport comment that you made is the Grumman area that would be inside of the fenced-in area of the airport where that still took place. And that was a 20-year program with FDEP as it related to superficial aquifer. The well that we're talking about drilling and managing in this location is in the Floridan aquifer. It's about 1,000 feet below the ground. The Grumman well was about 125 feet below ground, so it's completely different water source, completely different issues. I know that we've done testing in the park historically, just as you would if you were buying a commercial property for phase 1 and phase 2 testing, and there's no arsenic or lead or toxic PCBs or anything like that. So there's no issues as it relates to that. The reason we've located the well in that particular location is because of the way that wells work and water moves. And as a result, it would provide sufficient capacity. It would get the DEP approval. It would not invade or impact any wells that are already done by the county. And it would also provide us sufficient space for our well to not have to worry about another well pulling or drawing from it to to ultimately create some type of other intrusion.
Okay, fine. Mr. Mayor, I'm just going to say a couple of things. I do agree that we should consider reducing any type of concrete parking or the number of parking, and definitely we need to have staff, and maybe, I don't know if we have an arborist on board or our closest environmental person to go through that tree list and see how we can, I don't mind palm trees, they're important and they're nice, but we do need some other more efficient and beneficial trees for both the usage of water, root system wise, as well as shade wise. So if we could do that, I'd appreciate that.
Mr. Vice Mayor?
So I also agree with regard to the trees. I appreciate Bonnie's look at everything and the infographics. And do you need a motion from us along those lines, or are all of these comments being noted and will be incorporated into what comes into us in the future?
Well, I think the most important things is, are we keeping this together? Are we keeping the skate park and the overall park design together? Because-
If I was going to make a motion along those lines, it would be to stay the course with what we have, but authorize the joint application in terms of South Florida Water Management District. I think that, you know,
Keep it together. Okay.
yeah, that way there's nothing in the way. But we do stay on track with skate park first. We don't completely renovate that whole thing in principle, but we do authorize you specifically to jointly apply both parts of this to South Florida Water Management District. So
Once we apply for the South Florida Water Management District as a whole park and we get that permit, we have to construct the whole thing together. We can't just do the skate park
not just the skate park,
first.
but if there are other parts of the project besides the drainage, right? We don't want to tie up the skate park to the larger park project otherwise. If you're saying it needs to be filed to South Florida Water Management District jointly
Right.
for the drainage, but we don't want to be bound to the rest of the project. We want to go ahead and start moving forward with the skate park.
Right.
That's why I asked if there's anything else that we foresee that might be an issue.
So I think that some of the things that we're trying to resolve is the FPNL issue.
Correct.
Working with FPNL, we're working through the well fields.
Correct.
While we submit that permit, we're hoping we can address those issues, so then it can all just be combined, it can all go together when we go to
But then the skate
construction.
park would be somewhat held hostage based on FPL for the larger park project, even though it has nothing to do with FPL.
Yeah, so, I mean, how would you, Dominic, if we are not able to resolve the issues with FPNL and now we have the South Florida Water Management District permit, how do we?
Could it be parsed out is the question. I don't know, honestly, if I have a 100% answer on that, only because I'm not the one that files that permit for the South Florida Water Management District. I will check in with my engineers first thing tomorrow and make sure I get that answer. My gut feeling is saying once you apply as a master permit, you would have to move forward with construction together. Now, again, the option of filing separately, you would essentially take that out, and then certain parts of the park project, I think, have to come with that. For example, the parking and everything like that, so that there's accessibility to the skate park.
But if that South Florida Water Management District permit is the main holdup,
That's the drainage permit, yeah, that's
it might
your-
set back Guy Davis at large. That's what I think we should authorize. For you to do.
I'm not understanding.
We're going forward.
There's going to be other ingredients in the overall park project that will ultimately potentially slow down the overall park, like FPL. What is it specifically? It's permits?
It's for, they already submitted a permit, FPNL, it's just not the location we wanted. So as soon as they agree with the location or where the poles need to go, then it's just a matter of building department reviewing the permit and we can move forward. So I think all that could be resolved by the time we get the South Florida Water Management District permit.
Because as soon as we submit to South Florida, it's 120 days minimum that we're looking at. So FPL should be able to resolve that within 120 days, I'd hope.
And
know,
if
it's
we
just
run
my
into
concern. We
an
voted
issue-
on this in October, and we're still here. And I know it was larger conversations contractually with Spawn and you guys, and trying to figure out, contracts, and other things. But my concern is if the skate park is tied to the overall larger project
Right, I understand.
since 2019, and I
So-
think if we can get moving on something first, it will help galvanize the overall project and get it done.
So I think what I'll do is, once we apply for the permit, we have the permit, and I see that we still haven't resolved the other issues, I'll come back to the board for direction.
Do you need a motion to marry the two together, or you can already do that?
Yes, I would like that very much.
So I would make a motion that we remain on course in terms of prioritizing the skate park first, yet we allow the skate park and overall Guy Davis Park project to be filed as one permit to South Florida Water Management District. Is it appropriate, Pinal?
Currently is going to be filed.
Well, they were discussing right now a separate,
Correct?
No, we are,
No, he was,
we-
that was the point of this conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
For the board to decide this.
would you like the other input to be incorporated in this motion as well, or
yes.
a separate
The
motion?
less parking, some of the comments I heard, more
So-
bike racks.
With regard to less parking, I know I'm in the middle of a motion, but I would like to make one point is, I do have concerns about that somewhat. I know we don't want more spaces than we need, but with the addition, do you mind flashing on all that overall plan? With the addition of new fields and amenities, the skate park as well, my concern would be not enough parking in that, as you're accessing it from the south there. And we're putting a lot to do here, and a lot of it is team sports, right? So you have multiple families and their kids, and just having them doing on-street parking with your families. People fly down these streets, so to have sort of protected parking internally, I would hate to lose too much of that. So if that is something that we were going to consider, I'd want to really study that in light of what we're adding here to make sure that that is appropriate. I think it's a reasonable notion to not want too much, and budgets are always, I'm with you, but I would like to hold off on that particular component without more information. So I would like to add into that motion, going with Bonnie's, board member Moser's recommendations regarding adding more trees. Potentially it was a oversight just in terms of clicking the wrong button or something, but having true canopy shade trees, even if that means less palm trees being relocated, I think it's more important for people to have shade. Correct species, help me out if what I'm missing. We're decent?
More trees, sod
And
type.
just to incorporate her comments into your overall considerations.
Yeah, and then the only other thing is if it would be possible for the concession stand to maintain, I think it was like extra 15 feet of covered space that's gone in the,
I think it was
Hey, that's one of the plans to get back.
That's
The 15
that's page 42.
Expansion?
yeah.
What was the
Yeah.
difference?
I don't think you should take that out.
Okay.
I know it's extra money, but
Yeah,
I think that's
it-
why we removed it.
Yeah, I had removed it because it was an
extra
extra
8 feet.
200,000.
Yeah,
An
I
extra
think I
8
saw
feet
in the
you were-
budget, it was
For
maybe
15 feet of coverage? Can you plant a tree? Can we do something else? 200 grand for,
I mean,
We
in
could
the
put
original
trees-
master plan, we had trees in a plaza, but that got reduced to expand the concession building.
fear of something else.
But I
maybe
can,
we wait for budget time to talk about that.
Less parking, well, it needs to be in the plan.
And then the last part of my motion would be, were the built-in tables for dominoes included at all? Having some sort of
no,
built-in?
it's under pavilions right now, so it's the picnic table and pavilions. But in the master plan component, we had looked at exploring all along the north end of the property, improving that to be like a linear park.
Up by 10th?
Yeah.
I'd like to see something like that included as well, some sort of built-in, is that
The only
appropriate
problem
for
is
this or no?
It's outside of the
not in
project
there,
limit.
not in the
Then I'm not
scope.
making that
So
recommendation.
it could come along when 10th Street gets.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be
Just want to plant the seed.
But we set the bones so that it could be,
So I wanted to
Thank
make
you.
sure that people understood the difference.
Then that would conclude my motion, if there's a second.
We need the second.
I know, I'm just seeing. Madam Clerk, you have that motion?
I believe I do.
Would you just like to repeat it before I look for a second?
Yes.
So we're all clear.
Sure,
It was
that
a
we
lot.
re- That we remain on course on project with the skate park first and allow overall project to be submitted for permitting by South Florida Water Management District. And adding Bonnie's recommendations regarding more trees, tree canopy, shade trees, correct species, and incorporate her comments into the overall plan.
Is that correct?
That sounds good.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. For discussion.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor, and a second by Board Member Drexel.
Public comment?
Is there any public comment on this item?
I do have public comment,
Aye.
Mayor.
He does have some cards, so we'll begin with those.
Jordan Show.
Am I good? Jordan Show, 918 Madison Avenue, Stuart, Florida. Thank you guys for your time. Regarding the skate park and specifically the design, it is absolutely designed for every single age limit, skill set, and the little kids are absolutely considered in it. There's several areas in it that are specifically for little kids. You'll see a little spot with a rainbow kind of bridge thing. That I'm a skateboarder, so I understand teaching little kids stuff, and that's specifically designed so parents can teach their kids the most fundamental parts of skateboarding. It's a safe area. The whole park is visible, so you don't have what you were talking about, those concerns about little kids can't skate here because there's big kids. It's, you know, there's a visibility to this that you don't find other parks. I would just say it's designed specifically for children and adults being able to skate at the same time. Parking, there's a great need for parking. Alexis is here. She's the director of FCA. They have programs, as you know, lacrosse, soccer, and they want to expand into other activities. So they need as much parking as possible. I'm just trying to cover everything that I think needs to be covered. We're just asking, look, I know every change kind of extends this project, so please build this as soon as possible. Kids are getting older, time is passing, we have another generation of kids that needs this park, needs this programming. We have FCA ready to do an action sports ministry along with other different organizations within East Stuart. Newbirth has a great idea to do on a wing and a prayer. They're going to pull up the food truck there, give out wings, and do all kinds of great stuff for the youth out there as far as ministry. There's also secular organizations that I've spoken to, governmental organizations, the Sheriff's Office, Boys and Girls Club, all these people who are just so excited, but please do it as soon as possible. Please, trees, if that slows things down, maybe we can plant some trees later. Also, very quickly, public art component. I'm meeting with Rotary Club in August, but there's several other groups that we're going to be addressing that want to donate money for public art. So if the city can provide me areas in this that you need, would like art, perhaps we can have some of these local organizations donate money. And I've already spoken to Pinal about this, and I can present to them and get the public art components because we have these great fascia walls and things. That would be excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Alicia Dixon. Not here. Helen McBride.
Good evening, Ms. McBride.
Good evening. Helen McBride from Flamingo Avenue. For 52 years that I've lived in the city of Stuart, I've watched every time something comes up for East Stuart, and we think we're like with Guy Davis Park, and I went to the meetings, they invited me to come to the meetings, and now here, in the last year, the skateboard people come in, and we're pushing the people of East Stuart again, right us aside, because we got to get that skateboard for, and anybody knows me, my kids are skateboarding, my grandchildren, I've run all of those things. Bonnie, you're right with the trees. We need shade trees. Parking, you guys have to be living on La La Land. If you go over on 10th Street in soccer season, you can't walk on the sidewalks because they use it as parking. 5 days a week, I'm at 10th Street. I'm a senior citizen. I go to the senior citizen group. God bless Mike. He keeps saying, sometimes I have to park in the grass. Thank God the police are very nice to us seniors. But I'm very disappointed. I'm not going to say I'm mad or upset, but I've watched it for so long. East Stuart always gets shoved aside because a new group comes in and they don't live in East Stuart. Here's it. And no, you told the people Guy Davison's Park. And I took my time and trouble. I went to all the meetings. They were very nice. I went to all the meetings on time. I'm only going to meetings, as my sister said. But do you think this is fair? You have a personal interest in one thing, and you're shoving it down our throats. And I don't know how long you've lived here, but 52 years of watching people get shoved aside is wrong. Thank you.
Betty Brinkley?
Good evening, Betty Brinkley. I just want to say, with all due respect, and I don't know you really, how you do us in Stuart, but we do give you respect in spite of how you disrespect us over in East Stuart. She said something about a survey. You go over in East Stuart, nobody know about that survey that she did. I guarantee you, go over there and do a survey about that. But you didn't do the survey that the people want. You exclude us from out of stuff. I was a member of the historic board. Albert Brinkley, Stephen Cooper, Philip Harvey, and Faye James. We disagreed. We said they want the skateboard, the skate park, first. We didn't say they didn't want it, period. We wanted to go ahead and do the park. But y'all disrespect us and did it your way. You didn't listen to us. And you all know that because what? The color of my skin, our skin made up. And it's sad how y'all disrespect us. You don't care what we say, but thank God for Jesus. And they got all them churches in East Stuart, and they're in there for a reason. Because if it wasn't for God, we wouldn't have East Stuart. It'll be somebody else over there besides us. And y'all just totally dissolve the board, the Black Historic Board. We meet what, once or twice a month? And all of a sudden we disagreed, no more meeting. Just kick this to the curb. Disrespectful, but it's all good. God sits high, he looks low. Me, whoever, we gonna have to pay the price of how you treat people. So be careful how you treat anybody. And you can hate me all you want, and I love you in spite of your hate for me.
Chair, that's
Thank
all
you,
I
Ms.
have.
Brinkley.
State your name, please.
Name James Christie. Live in Port St. Lucie on home in Stuart. Grew up, born, raised in Stuart. And I am saying ditto to Ms. McBride and also Ms. Brinkley. This is just wrong. The survey is suspect. It's suspect. I agree with Ms. Brinkley. I don't know where you got 300, and some people saying they want a skate park. When I go back through the information that was taken regarding the park and what I see, people wanted a pool. People wanted a splash park, not a mist, but a splash park. I don't think nobody wanted a skate park, but this is a pattern. This is a pattern of the city making decisions for East Stuart that the people don't necessarily want. Other people being able to come in and fulfill their dreams, do whatever they want to do, and look over the people in East Stuart. It's a pattern. I've seen it. I recognize patterns very well. And it's a disturbing pattern. East Stewart, the people that has the most say should be the East Stewart resident, not the city. You guys are not at the top of the hierarchy, not the police, not anybody. It's the residents of the city, the residents. And particularly what goes on in East Stewart should never happen unless it goes by the residents there. It's been notification, weaponization. Oh, it is horrible. To notification weaponization. And when in the world do we stop? Do we have not enough money to do a project and we go get money? The business incubator, a feasibility study that was done for that, we don't have enough money. We cut it off and don't even let the community know about it. This is wrong, and we're not getting emotional anymore. No, we're not going through that anymore. We're taking action. Not violence, don't put that out, nothing, but we're taking action. This is wrong. Things are being done at that park, and we're last. The playground got sand on it still.
Thank you, Mr. Christie.
I have no further public comment.
Okay. Mr. Manera, you've been very patient.
I just wanted to agree with a lot of things that Board Member Moser said. The acacia trees too are also inappropriate because they're very brittle, and when we get storms in here, they're going to end up a stalk and take a year to grow back, and then another wind's going to knock it all down. But I was thinking, because there's obvious difference of opinion on parking, so I'm looking at like the Blake Library. They've got an interesting system where they've got the median splitting 2 rows of parking, and they've got a lot of the large canopy oaks and things like that in between. Because I don't know about everybody else, but the last time I got into my car, after it was out in the sun all day, I literally got heat stroke. It was like 200 degrees in there, and so I mean, I think the cars, the canopies are important for them as much as for the shady areas for the people. And if there's an absence or a limitation on the canopy trees, maybe there's locations where it makes sense to put the nylon canopies like we have on the boardwalk, where the music venues are on the boardwalk. As far as the costs, I had a question. I understand the cement and tariffs were an issue with part of the increase in cost. But I heard something mentioned about the asphalt for remediation of the cost increase. What is the difference between the asphalt costs and the cement, using the cement costs for the paving? Is it a substantial difference?
I think this gentleman can answer that.
So in the breakdown of the cost estimate that I provided, you'll be able to see the hard numbers of what's incorporated into those, and I'd be happy to follow up with an itemized list. The difference is pretty substantial between the pervious concrete and asphalt, being that it really goes down to what's underneath the base, right? When we come in with an asphalt, we're really only digging down 6 inches, maybe 3 inches of asphalt, and then whatever the sub-base would be under that, 6 or 8, depending on the load. But when we start talking about pervious concrete, then we're talking about drainage rock, we're talking about geotextile, we're talking about distributing the load across the concrete, making sure that it's still reinforced. So that's where that cost kind of gets driven. So that's why we were saying, you're looking at 130 to potentially 200 in saving by switching to asphalt. The only inhibitants on that is then you're losing on your pervious area, because right now the concrete and the pavers are calculated towards that. So there's benefits to both. I have my engineers actually crunching numbers as we speak right now to make sure that we can make that recommendation, because if we can move forward with asphalt, then we can definitely do that. It's just right now the way that the impervious is increasing a little bit, so that's why it's proposed as is, but there is a potential savings in that as well.
I had another question buried in here. That was basically my comment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Scheer, Board Member Scheer.
Okay. I'm just thinking about the timing and the project and the schedule again. So if there's the overall, I'll define some terms. So the project, And then there are what I'll call elements in the project, different activity areas, even a domino table somewhere. So that's an element. So there's always different elements. And I guess my question, Panal, or maybe to the presenter, so does it all go at the same time? And is the whole project, which is a park, do you like flip a switch and the door is open for the whole thing at once? Or do sections or elements of the project become available at different times?
So there's definitely means and methods. Do you want to?
Sorry, go ahead.
There's means and methods to it. You know, we had one park project in Miami Beach, obviously very different, but it was 30 acres, you know, kind of similar size. We split that into phase 1, phase 2. We had phase 1 constructed. Once phase 1 was constructed, then we flipped it. Phase 1 opened, phase 2 started construction. So there's ways that we can do construction phasing that won't, you know, close down the entire park all at once. I will say the danger in that is when it's a brand new project, because that was a renovation project. When it's a brand new project, you have drainage lines, you have electrical services that all need to go in all at once. So it almost needs to be either packaged all at once, or it needs to be like utility as one project, tree disposition as a second project, then construction of phase 1 as the, you know what I mean? So it definitely needs to take some thinking about it, but there's ways.
It sounds like this one, and it is a relatively small in terms of geography or acreage, or a relatively small project or park. And there's, as you say, utilities, considerations, water, power, drainage. It sounds like it's kind of all going on at the same time through the progression of the project.
Ideally, it would be general contractor, yeah.
Got it, thanks.
Well, and if you could provide that timeline, then perhaps Mr. Shearer would have a better idea of the pace at which it would proceed.
Sure.
Thank you. Board Member Breckville.
Yeah, I wanted to just make two comments relative to the motion that's on the floor. One, I support the motion if that's the way we're going to go. In other words, if we're going to stay on this path, both simultaneous, keeping everybody together and just moving forward makes more sense. But I don't think that's the way we should be going, because we have a specific project, and we've seen the effect of delays on the cost. I mean, I understand that the cost of the park is going to, let's say, $6 million or whatever, $7 million to $9 million or $10 million. It's not our fault per se, but the longer it takes to get it done, the more you've got the chance that it's going to go up in price. And I guarantee you we'll be looking at least 10 to 15% overruns in total by the time we get done with this. And we're dragging this stuff all through. And I appreciate that East Stuart has been waiting for this for a long, long time. Now, I like the skateboard project, but I don't think it's integral that it has to be connected directly with what we're doing in East Stuart. We can do that project separately in East Stuart. Still a good location for it, still got some good programs that can be done, and we can get that done. We have the funding for it. We're not getting any federal funding for that, really. We actually pulled that location out of, and put it into this plan. And if we just pulled it out and did it separately, it would get done faster. I guarantee you this skate park is going to take longer because it's going to be connected with a big project that's going to take forever still to get FP&L. You know, you start throwing names out like FP&L and others, you're talking about long delays. And then what happens if we have a hurricane? And what happens and then the whole thing is going to be ground to a halt. Whereas separated, I think they could be done much more efficiently. Both projects could go. But
Do you have a recommendation for the tree mitigation?
do I have a recommendation for the tree mitigation?
Right now, if we do it together, all the trees being removed for the skateboard park can be replanted in the park, and they don't have to be, it's not mitigating, it's part of the plan. If it's separated, it has to follow into the tree mitigation code, which makes it 1.5 for the slash pines and 2.0 for the oaks. So twice as many inches have to be planted. But they can't be planted in the skateboard park, because as you might imagine, they're going to be skateboarders. So when they end up being off-site, you have to do the mitigation program, and if you keep it, if it's one program, they're not off-site.
Well, I've seen enough projects approved in the CRA that involved mitigation of trees that can't we,
We can, it's no problem at all.
We can just mitigate
That was a
those.
discussion that,
no, I understand that, and I see where that, but
Board Member Berkeley, are you asking him to amend his motion? Because that's not part of his motion right now.
what is
That's
it?
what we're talking about. That we separate.
I'm stating that for my purposes, the reason I'm seconding it is that if we don't make a change, I think this is the alternative. I don't think it's a good one, but I think it's the best one, given that path. I don't think that's an adequate
After we
path.
conclude our discussion and vote on this, you can make another motion if you choose. Does that conclude your remarks?
Yes, that's all I
Thank
want to
you.
say.
Commissioner Clark.
Vice Mayor, you know.
Oh, did he? I'm sorry. Well, he's spoken a couple times more than you. In the sake of fairness, I'm going to let you
All
go.
right, so when Vice Mayor was
I'll
speaking.
get to him.
When Vice Mayor was speaking earlier, and of course, listening to Ms. Brinkley and Ms.
Mr. Christie.
Mr. Christie, Ms. Helen McBride, and everybody, and I myself questioned this idea of the survey, and especially the people who use the park, the gentlemen especially who use the park for the dominoes and so on. My thing is, I want us to move forward. I want us to move forward in unity for the best interest of the people of Stuart, and especially for those who live right close to the park in the neighborhood of East Stuart, who are looking for this improvement to happen. And if we were following our rules and our guidelines and staying where we are supposed to be, at least I think, you know, we probably would have never, when we first, I'm kind of glad of the thing that you have on the motion that you have now, but still, we have to be able to compromise and to work with what is best and what is in the best interest. And to find every way to still say, we can do this, but this has to still go first. I think that's still not best. But I am moving forward for the city of Stuart to try to make sure we have this part done. But I really think if we need to do a compromise, and especially when they come back, they still have the drainage and all these other things to do, and especially get that permit with South Florida. If we can just move that, which is what you're saying in your motion, is to get everything done together. But, you know, we had to make a lot of sacrifices to go back and find this other money and to go back and include this and to bring it into the plan that had been going for 3 years before that and to get everything done on the same playing field. So please, let's find every way to move forward and not put something else to say, if it doesn't happen this way, I don't want it anymore. Please, that's all I'm asking. Whoever I'm appealing to or whatever, I just need this CRB board. I know that we're missing, my members is missing because I understand that there was an emergency that happened. But please, let us try to do something and move this forward. We see that even whatever plan method we use, it's only going to be probably a difference of 7 to 9 months. Is that it? That would be make a difference.
These are best case scenarios, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's just move forward and try to do everything together and not be so hard and fast on, as soon as this plan is over, then the first thing that happens is a skate park. If that's not the way that it can be, and we've heard that they're going to come back to us, let us please, the residents of the city come first, and they've been expecting a plan to be implemented for a long time now, and we need to do that, and we need to do, since we've incorporated this idea now, let's just move and do what is best. And it's going to be less expensive to do it all together and to get this drainage thing done before the costs go higher.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, so this conversation around trying to amend the direction that we were going in with this board, I think is problematic for the reasons that I said before, not the least of which, 2 of our commissioners are not here. 2 of our commissioners are not here, right, that voted to put the skate park first.
You can't, you would need 4 affirmative votes today for the CRA to take any action, and there's only 4 CRA members here.
Right.
So unless you guys have a unanimous decision, you're not going to be able to vote on anything today.
Correct. It's just a strange thing to want to overhaul and radically change what we've already decided we were going to do, to your point. I feel like we have addressed the issues that are around tying up the larger park. I think we've already established that this infographic is not accurate because according to it, we should be under construction right now if we build the skate park first. You know, so clearly none of this is accurate. This at the time was the best guess. And if we're getting the South Florida Water Management District permit done together, there really should be no issue. We've addressed all the issues that could be around the timing by doing that. I hate to hear what we're trying to do characterized as slighting East Stuart, because, you know, at least in my perspective, this park is not for a particular neighborhood. This park is, we're investing $10 million of CRA money into Guy Davis Park for all residents. And maybe that's saying the quiet part out loud, but it's the truth, right? Like, it's for all the families of the people who live in the city of Stuart. And so I hate to hear it characterized that way. I don't think it's fair. And when I talk to residents, maybe there's residents in East Stuart who don't feel like this, but when I talk to people, they are thrilled that this will be the first skate park in the city of Stuart. We don't have many others. And in this park project, we're investing $10 million. That's going to be now a possibility for families, for parents, for people who have kids. And, you know, it's a sport that people can do. And I know the skate park is not on the line right now, but it's, to its credit, it's a sport that people can do by themselves. That maybe feel marginalized of whatever race, whatever. They can go there and skateboard of a wide variety of ages all the way through adulthood. People can use these kind of facilities, make friends. It's a very unique opportunity for the city of Stuart to be able to provide. So I don't feel like it's necessary to amend the motion. Again, I think it would be radically trying to transform where we're already at and the direction we've already given, and we've overcome the obstacle of the timeline by having the South Florida Water Management District permit be done together. So otherwise, everything should be on track to get that skate park going, and, you know, those are my comments.
So the cost of, I just want to, well, it's not part of the motion, so I won't ask these questions. Yeah, I'm very conflicted about the skate park, because when it first came before the commission, we were told that it was going to be paid for by contributions. And we believe people when they come before us and tell us that, because we've had many, many groups that have done that. And in fact, they've exceeded their promises to the city. And I've seen it happen in the county. And that vote was taken, and such as it is. And when they came back, that group came back, they hadn't raised $500,000, they hadn't raised $250,000, they hadn't raised $100,000, they hadn't raised $50,000, they hadn't raised $5,000. And we had been told there was this overwhelming demand for the skate park. And they were completely unable to provide any evidence of that. And even the group who made the proposal didn't even dig into their own pockets for $1,000.
What other?
So will you allow me to finish my remarks, Mr. Vice Mayor? But nonetheless, we went ahead because we thought we were going to receive $500,000 grant. Well, we lost that grant. And we went ahead anyway. And then we put another $500,000 grant request in, and we thought we were going to get that. And we lost that as well.
We got the first.
So we find ourselves here. And of course, the first estimate of cost was way below. But it's actually going to be, it's well, nowhere near twice as much, but it's considerably more. And I'm very disappointed that the splash park is not going to be included. And if we could maybe shave a few parkings, what's the additional cost versus the mist park versus the
The scope
Splash
was
park?
always the misting equipment. We were never going to do splash
okay.
pad. It was always the misting.
Because I know how popular that is out at Indian Riverside.
Maybe they should have to raise the money for it.
Out at Indian Riverside Park. But I do agree, this is not a park just for East Stuart. It is a park. It is a park for all members of the community, so we can't be constrained in what we want to offer by what they feel is the most important. But nobody has had more patience than the people of East Stuart. We have, Commissioner Clark, I mean, we have been dealing with this for how long, Mr. Martell?
I
First
know
started
that
talking about this?
First time it was talked about was probably in the 2007 charrette.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Uh,
When it was
Seriously,
strictly baseball fields,
In
remember?
the late
It was
teens.
baseball
It
fields.
got very official in 2018
Yeah.
when there was a bill in Tallahassee that said that they were going to terminate CRAs and that the only way your CRA could be extended is if it had a debt obligation tied to it. So the idea was to go out and borrow money or bond against the park in order to create the debt obligation to extend the CRA to pay that. And originally, the shift was going to be to build the new baseball fields for Sailfish Park at Guy Davis so that all of baseball would take place in one place because there was a group of kids playing at Guy Davis that were different than the group of kids that were playing at Sailfish, and the purpose was to combine everybody and merge it together. But cost-effective nature of building a second set of baseball fields at the level or stature of Sailfish Park caused it to be cost prohibitive.
Yeah, so I appreciate the patience, and yeah, I think we need to, I don't see why any one element needs to be prioritized. This park needs to get built. Finally, let's get going on it. And we don't need to incur more expense by dividing it up and applying for permits for this, and then permits for that, and bringing it, construction to a halt, and so let's just go forward as best we can here. So before I have you call the roll, Madam Clerk, could you just read the motion again?
I have that we remain on course on project with the skate park first and allow overall project to be submitted for permit by South Florida Water Management District. And
With the skate, I'm sorry, I don't remember you reading that.
That's not what you said, was it, Chris?
Say that one more time.
that we remain on course on the project,
On the overall project,
okay?
right?
No, the skate park being first. That's the path that we are currently on.
What
It
does
does
that
say
mean?
with the skate park
We
first.
voted
Okay, is that part of your motion?
that we're staying on that same path, yes. We're not upending what we're doing. We're staying on our current, we had a resolution that we voted for, and we put the skate park at the beginning.
I disagree with that.
That's where this project has been. But what we are doing is allowing the South Florida Water Management District permit to be done together, so that there's not anything in the way that would
So
bind.
how is that prioritizing the skateboard park? I'm confused.
We're not changing anything in that original resolution, but we are allowing them to file the South Florida Water Management District permit together.
Mr. Martell, didn't you say that the original resolution did not provide an imperative for the park to be built because of the practical matter? It's a practical matter?
The original vote that the commission made was that it would carve out an area for a future skateboard park. When we submitted the original application to Tallahassee for the first $500,000, it didn't have a skateboard park in it. It was in between the time when the group came forward and said that they were going to fundraise, but please reserve the space for the skateboard park. And when Tallahassee approved it the following March, the commission meeting voted to do the skateboard park and move it forward at that commission meeting.
Right.
Who included?
Well, the vote was to take the $500,000 from Tallahassee and dedicate it to a skateboard park and do it essentially ahead of or with the 500 and not let Guy Davis hold up the skateboard park. But the 500 was earmarked by Tallahassee and could not be done that way. The following year, we went to apply
So does that,
again.
I'm sorry, does that then void that motion, that resolution?
It voided.
Was it contingent upon, okay.
It voided, I mean, and again, we didn't get into contingency. No one on the board said, if this money isn't applied, then we don't prioritize the skateboard park. They
Right.
just said, do the skateboard park.
The idea would be
Right.
if there's all of this that comes back from FPL towards the overall
Yeah.
Guy Davis project, we can still keep moving forward with the skate park. But the skate park is not being held hostage by the overall park in terms of,
The question at that time was whether or not there was even going to be funding to be able to do Guy Davis. And I think that the intention was, well, if Guy Davis doesn't get done, I want the skateboard park to get done anyway to make sure the skate park continues to get done.
What happens if this motion fails?
Well, first of all, the board has already given direction to staff to move forward on the skateboard park and on the Guy Davis as well. We don't have we don't have direction from the board as to whether or not we should submit the skateboard park with the park
correct.
to the DEP, or whether we should submit it separate.
So right now it would be separate, would be.
No, it would
Yes.
not be separate
Right now
right
it's
now.
separate because we expedited the skate park. So if we do this, then we can make sure we do them together.
Well, it wouldn't be, what would happen is there was no motion from the board to not do Guy Davis.
Correct.
So what would happen is the skateboard park would be truly separated, and a separate plan for stormwater for the skateboard park would have to be submitted to DEP, and a separate plan for Guy Davis would have to be submitted to DEP. But I don't know if the skateboard park has a stormwater plan. So it would because the skateboard park originally
It
caused
would be more
Guy
expensive.
Davis to be delayed because Guy Davis had to wait for the skateboard park design to get drawn.
No, that's not true. That is not true.
Well,
The overall Guy Davis project has been
It wasn't,
happening.
wasn't
We've
stopped,
been moving,
It was not slowed down.
but
we've been moving forward with the overall park design and
Right.
moving forward with the
That's what
skate
the
park.
law said
Right, it
originally.
wasn't stopped, and that's what I said, it didn't, but the
was not
design
affected
plan for
by
the
it.
stormwater was going forward for Guy Davis. The stormwater design is the Guy Davis stormwater design. The skateboard park land was in Guy Davis.
Correct.
When we started. If we separate it, then the stormwater comes out of it, and it's like you're selling that land to a different entity, and you do a separate stormwater, a separate tree assessment, and you could do it.
See, this is all technicality that
Right.
has since come out. This was never communicated originally.
Because it
when we
was
did
never
this.
an agenda item. The board voted on the skateboard park without telling staff in advance. There was no agenda item.
Well, at the
We showed up to
commission
accept the
meeting,
check,
I
and the board
did,
voted on the skateboard
Again,
park.
if this was an issue, right, I feel like this has all of a sudden become this issue to try to alter the path that we're on.
But there is no issue. I
That
would see this
happened, that vote
altering.
happened in October.
Okay, hold
Big
on.
deal.
We've had discussion. It's,
And it feels like we're trying to make this more complicated than it needs to be.
so in October,
because,
No, the motion that I've made is to now have the permits be done together so we can overcome that.
no,
This should
but
be-
you're adding the element that you want to prioritize the skateboard
It's
park.
already existing. That's an
That
already
element
existing
had
element.
already been prioritized.
That is already a thing.
And the permits were already being submitted, the stormwater was already being submitted together. So if you don't vote on this presentation, those two things happen anyway.
Yeah,
So if we submit South Florida Water Management District
What's the
permit
point
for
of this
both
exercise?
overall park and the
It was just
state
a
park?
presentation.
But this conversation that if we don't do something, they're going to be filed separately,
No,
that's
no,
what
no.
this says.
They're only being filed separately if you vote unanimously to file them separately.
I need a second. This is intentionally being made confusing. This is what we voted for. This is what, look at Pinal start shaking, Mike.
Yes.
This is what we voted for. Today's recommendation is to do this. The reason that we're having this whole conversation about South Florida Water Management District is because we're saying, if we follow the course that we're on, this will require 2 separate applications to South Florida Water Management District. You are saying the opposite. You're saying if we don't do anything today, they're going to be filed together. My motion is that we file them together, which takes this time frame and allows it to still happen within our existing course. It removes that as being an obstacle. We don't have to do the one and then wait for it to come to full construction before we do the next. Correct? Sure. Okay. Why is this being made intentionally confusing?
But if we're tied in with that,
We are-
when the construction starts, we're going to have to stop construction on the skate park, correct?
But we're going to have to do it together if the
No,
permit is for the overall park.
Dominic just said that
No,
there's
he
going to
said
come
when
a...
we finish the skateboard park, the other park won't be finished. There'll be times that you'll have to close the park to finish the other park, but the stormwater will be done as one.
Right, but what I'm getting at is that, what's the goal of finishing the skate park? Just so it can sit there for a couple of years while they're, because once the construction starts, the skate park is sitting now again. Why are those two projects together?
Hold on, excuse me.
Together.
I don't understand why they should.
First of all, you need to be recognized.
I'm sorry.
Board Member Breckville and Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, sorry.
There's obviously confusion surrounding this is just a presentation.
Well, I do need direction as far as submitting South Florida Water Management District permit, if I'm doing it separately or if I'm doing it together, because that will determine how the construction will happen.
It was always my understanding that even when the first plan came before the board, when the group came forward to ask us to reserve the space for the skateboard park, there was no design for a skateboard park, but there was a triangle at the end of 14th Street or whatever it was that was within Guy Davis Park.
Correct.
So if we weren't doing a skateboard park and there was nothing going there, or there was a parking lot going there, or there was trees going there, that would be submitted as part of the stormwater plan for that whole Guy Davis property, because that triangle was included in the stormwater or the geographic portion of Guy Davis. So if you did the stormwater plan and you get finished with the stormwater plan, that geographic area where the skateboard park is would be part of the stormwater for the park. Now, if you go to decide to build it as a parking lot or a concession stand or a skateboard park or a movie theater, that's the board's discretion on what goes there and what gets built there. But the infrastructure, the well as it relates to our water treatment plant having to be done in the middle of the park is also an interference with finishing the whole park. But to me, the stormwater design goes from 10th Street to Dixie Highway. And when the stormwater's finished, if you wanted to cut it up into 12 different pies and separate all those into phases, you could, but the commission had voted to not have any design or construction of Guy Davis hold up any design or construction of the skateboard park.
Correct.
The stormwater is not holding up the skateboard park. Doing the stormwater together is not doing anything to the skateboard park. To me. It's visually all part of the ultimate Guy Davis land, or whatever you want to call it. When that's finished, that's the next phase. That phase is, if we then said, well, no, we're going to take all the money and we're going to build all the money and put it first into this special field or the, multi-purpose field, and we're not going to do anything else until the multi-purpose field was finished, that would be contrary to the board's vote.
Correct.
But that's why we budgeted separate funds so that as it goes forward, once this joint part that the land gets justified by the state or state permits are finished, both projects can run, to me, simultaneous.
Correct.
But if one gets ahead of the other,
Right.
for one reason or another, it's going to be on its own merits, whatever causes it to get ahead. If the skateboard park's going to have its own funding and it's going to be going its own way, and if it turns out that we can't get striping for the field or something, that's not going to stop the skateboard park.
Correct.
That'll
Thank
just
you for
keep
that.
going.
Yes.
Because it'll be funded and it'll have its own funding.
Correct.
The only merge, or whatever you want to call it, is this stormwater thing.
SFWMD permit.
But that is the state permitting as it relates to the stormwater for the land underneath, which to me,
It's all
land
one thing.
underneath was in it
Correct.
from the beginning. The skateboard park wasn't designed on it yet, but the land was there when we did it.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Do we need to vote still, or if we just accept the presentation?
No,
and you
we're
have
having-
no direction?
There's a pending motion
We
with a
have to
second.
vote.
I need a vote.
You want to vote?
So again, to clarify, we're looking at, like what Mike said, we're moving forward in the same path we've been moving forward. We're allowing the water management permit to be done together, and then we're also including Board Member Moser's recommendations around canopy trees, more trees, correct species of trees.
Mr. Mayor, I have one question. So, no,
No, we're going to a vote.
no, I have a
voting?
question, yeah.
Okay.
But I have a question. So this is the CRA board voting, correct?
Yes.
And so now, does this also then going to go to the commission afterwards, or does is this the final vote?
The CRA is who's voting. CRA funding, it's the CRA plan, and it's CRA's project. The city commission wouldn't, I don't think there's any budget amendment necessary, but if there was, they might have to, but there isn't. So there is no, the city commission, and that's why Fennell is asking for the vote now, because she doesn't want to wait, because the next CRA meeting isn't until the end of August. So she doesn't want to put off, like, city going to meet on August 11th. The city commission could address something on August 11th if it needed to. The CRA is not going to meet again until August 28th. And so she wants to make sure the CRA decision is made now so that she can go forward and that it's not held up.
Okay,
And
I
for
just want to make
context,
clear it was
This
CRA.
presentation was more like supposed to be in May, and just, it didn't all link up, so we're having it now. So
Okay.
to get this done now is really important.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Board Member James? Oh, I'm sorry. Board Member Breckville?
Yes.
Board Member Clark? Vice Chair Collins?
Yes.
And Chair Rich?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Well, that was the first item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Let's take a 10-minute break. We'll be in recess until 6:25.
You want to explain to people?
Back to order.
We just had a.
Let's get going. Let's get going. And I will acknowledge my oversight, and I would like to recognize that we have two members here at the joint meeting for the first time, which may cause them to doubt their assuming the positions. But it is Board Member Jeff Manera. Congratulations, and thank you for choosing to serve and volunteer. It takes a lot of effort, and it's much appreciated. And Mr. William Laughlin, too, Board Member, appointee of the Vice Mayor. So thank you both for being here. So I need a motion for the approval of the agenda. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Breckville and a second by the Vice Mayor. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No? Is approved. Can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes, please?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Breckville and again a second by the Vice Mayor. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Comments? Do we have any comments from the public?
I do
Madam
not.
Clerk, on non-agenda items?
I
No?
do not. Mm-mm.
We've silenced the public. Wow. Comments by board members?
I filled out something about it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I had you for the next meeting, the commission meeting. Would you like to give comment at this meeting? This is not the commission. This
We're
is
still on the
joint
first meeting.
We're still.
We're getting there as fast as we can. Thank you for your patience.
At 5:30.
So, Mr. Manera, as a newbie, I'll start with you. Do you have any comments this evening?
I mean,
You're not required to. It's only if you,
as far as the process,
anything. You may comment on anything. Well, it has to be non-agenda. Yeah.
I mean, I'm enjoying the process. I mean, it's quite a bit different from our relatively peaceful little CRB meetings. So
We're a lot more fun.
yeah. I think it's very different, but enjoying the process. I'm getting to know all of you a little bit more than I have in the past through the CRB process. So it's good to be here.
Thank you. Mr. Laughlin.
No, sir, no comments at this time. Thank you.
Board Member Moser. Board Member Whalen.
No, sir.
Board Member Breckville.
No.
Oh, my gosh. Board Member Clark. Mr. Vice Mayor. And I have none either for the sake of expediency. Mr. Baggett, will you read item 4 for our consideration, please?
Resolution number 05-2025 CRA, a resolution of the Board of Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Stuart, Florida, authorizing award to applicants from the Business Improvement Grant Program for fiscal year 2025, cycle number 2, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
Jordan, who will be making the presentation?
I will.
Mayor, I'd like to move resolution number 05-2025.
I think we're going to have a presentation by staff first, or you just...
We could just get right to it?
Okay, is there any public comment on this item? See none, are there any comments or questions from the board members? Staff or? None?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I do have a comment.
Okay,
It's a short resolution, even though staff is prepared
present.
to present it. But, it's for those 4 applications for the 36. So it's exactly what's in the, resolution. So I think unless any of the new members have anything.
What,
Do you have anything, Jordan?
Commissioner Clark, I just want to confirm it's actually for just 2 applications
Yes.
for cycle 2.
Yeah,
At the last meeting, the city commission directed CRA to add these 2 items and provide sufficient funding for the program for these 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And did the CRB consider these?
Yes.
Yes, there's a slide up, Brett.
Yes,
And they voted unanimously?
$41,000.
Okay.
Yes, they voted unanimously to do a fund transfer in the amount of $6,151 to cover the difference in the overage if they were both at their max match.
And the $41,700 is the total cost of both of them. But
Correct.
one is only seeking $9,801 is match, the other seeking that.
Well, I value their consideration on their vote on this matter, so roll call, please.
Real quick though, before, just so that it's clarified for the record, so we know how the resolution should be finalized. You have three options up there. Are you asking for them to make?
Those were just the three options that were presented to the CRB, and the
Okay.
CRB recommended option 3, so that is the one that staff is recommending.
Correct.
Okay,
making
no,
sure it's
thank
clear.
you for clarifying that.
Thank you, yes.
Okay. Vice Chair Collins,
Yes.
Board Member Clark, Board Member Breckbill,
Yes.
Chair Ridge.
Yes. Motion passes. Mr. Baggett, you read item 5 for our consideration, please.
Resolution number 01-2025 CRA, a resolution of the Board of Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Stuart, Florida, authorizing budget amendment number 3 to the fiscal year 2025 CRA budget, appropriating and authorizing the expenditure of funds for project lift of East Stuart demolition and new construction, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, providing for an effective date, and for other purposes.
If I could chime in on this. At the last meeting, I told you that we weren't sure if this was going to be going forward or not. There's also an agenda item on the city commission meeting as well. What we're asking the board to do today is to approve the budget amendment contingent upon it coming in, so as to not require the CRA to have to wait until August 28th, because there's certain deadlines in the funding and construction and grant that if we push it back, we're really already pressed for time as it is. But the paperwork that we thought might be here by today isn't here. We're expecting it probably tomorrow, maybe by the end of the week. But I'm going to be asking the city commission to roll their item until August 11th, because we can just do it August 11th. But as it relates to this item, if the CRA would be willing to accept the budget amendment for the $4 million, conditioned upon it coming in, essentially what that would mean is that the CRA had gone out and convinced Florida Commerce to give us $1.6 million to get the land, and then they moved it up, and it was going to be just a renovation, and then it went into a total new construction, and they got a total of $6 million, and then with the $6 million, we went out to bid, and because of COVID costs and other costs, it was literally $4 million more to build the building than what had been projected, and as a result, the contractor had said they were going to honor the bid so long as we fell into this cycle. Florida Commerce was going back and forth all summer long, and 10 days ago told us that it essentially had been approved and it just had to go through the paperwork and get signed and would be given to us and we could put it on the agenda to move forward, is what we did. And of course, it didn't make it here in time, but it literally is coming. And we're asking the board to approve the budget amendment, conditioned obviously upon us receiving the $4 million. It doesn't cause us to take any action, because we still need to go before the city commission to approve the bid to the contractor to do the actual job and do the actual work. This is just a transfer of CRA funds to the city so that the city can then do the contract and do the work anyway, but we need the budget amendment to do it.
Mayor, I'd like to move resolution number 01-2025.
Second.
We have a motion by the Vice Mayor and a second by Commissioner Clark. Is there
I'm sorry. I had a question. Is it?
Okay, could we go to public comment first?
Oh, okay,
Is there
okay.
any public comment on this item?
I have none.
Okay, seeing none, questions or comments by the board?
My only question was so this is a CRA-funded project, correct?
Correct.
So we're transferring it to the city only to complete the construction, to manage the construction process, right?
So the CRA obviously is a funding source. Sorry, the CRA is the entity that's funding it, but the title owner of this property will be the city of Stuart, because CRAs expire, just like when the CRA did the Azul property next door, the title goes into the city of Stuart's name, and even the skateboard park and the Guy Davis Park is a city of Stuart park, because if the CRA were to expire in 2039, then who would be the owner of the property? We wouldn't have any entities. So what happens is the CRA controls it, pays for it, does the stuff, and then transfers the money to the city. The CRA has already voted and approved the contract after the procurement and all that stuff. It just will be the city awarding the contract and signing it.
Okay.
Nothing has changed there. If it does change, we'd have to loop back through.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Panal, good job. I was beating you up pretty good in the last meeting. So I wanted to offer kudos when it's warranted, so good job.
Thank you.
The only questions I heard kind of floating around were, is this a Guardian Antonio Jenkins overseen project, just for the record?
And it's not, but those questions would be the ones Hamilton's posted on Facebook.
That's the only thing I saw related to this that I just wanted to clear up. It is not.
Any other questions or comments? I assume you are praising Ms. Gandhi Sabdas because you got $10 million. It is remarkable, and you are to be commended and congratulated.
Thank you.
Is that correct?
That's
That was
right.
the reason?
Yes.
$10 million.
And money is hard to come by now, as we're learning, so well done. And I can think of no better project, more exciting project, going to create opportunity in East Stuart. And I can't wait for this one to get going. Commissioner Clark.
I had a speech prepared to congratulate on this office. I'll keep
See, no other questions or comments? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Chair Rich,
Yes.
Board Member Clark,
Yes.
Board Member Breckbill,
Yes.
Vice Chair Collins.
Yes.
Motion passes. Seeing no other items for our consideration, the meeting is adjourned. We will